Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Today we're just going to be hitting off one of my two recent reels I released over in the last week. So those are my top 5 shooting guards of all time and my top 5 small forwards list of all time. So we're just going to be going through those two wing position lists, just explaining through and just like debunking a few of like the arguments that you guys had against what I had to say. And just explaining like why I had who where I did have, if you know what I mean. Like, as in like where I ranked certain players, like my reasoning for that. And so we're going to start off recapping our shooting guards list. And for that, just to recap for you guys the actual ranking, it was number 5, I had James Harden. I had Dwayne Wade at number 4. At number 3, Jerry West. At number 2, Kobe Bryant. And obviously at number 1, I had Michael Jordan. Now, the main arguments that were against this list in the comment section, the first one was, where's Allen Iverson? Now, obviously, like I was very expected to see this, one of the most adored players in NBA history. And like for me, like just obviously evaluating what AI brought to the NBA and what made him such a great basketball player who left such an instrumental legacy behind. He was an all-time shot creator, someone who could floor raise at literally a level that captained a finals team which was centered around defense in that 0-1 Philadelphia 76ers squad. Just an exceptional athlete as well, with insane cross counters, insane like agility, speed advantages as well, that made him a guy who could manufacture such an absurd amount of credible shots for her team in that specific era, in that early 2000s era. And I just think, to me though, the reason why I do lean towards more James Harden, Jerry West, which are the guys I think were probably the odd ones out and what most people thought. I think D Wade was pretty cemented in that top 5 either way. But I just didn't think AI impacted offense in his era anywhere near the level that guys like James Harden and Jerry West did in their respective levels. I know that's hard to say because like he had the finals run under him. He's a multiple time scoring champ as well. But for me, it's just that clear. That is my main point. I mean, Harden, in his case, like he quarterbacked some of the all-time great regular season offenses while still being able to run into some of the most competitive conferences that we've ever seen. Like if you think back to that 2001 Philadelphia conference, that relative to what James Harden had to go through between 2015 to 2019, that was pretty much like a cakewalk for Allen Iverson compared to what James Harden had to go through. When you're talking about the Spurs, you're talking about the Warriors, the Thunder were still in there in the mix as well. Like, the Clippers in those earlier days, there's a lot of talent that James Harden had to go through. And in terms of the regular season, I just think what he did in that Houston run, in that Houston era, was way more impressive just in terms of generating team offense, especially when both of these guys were more built around that heliocentric type of frame where a lot of like the offense regarded around them specifically. And then also as well, I mean, like at his peak as well, and this is back to, like, again, for James Harden's case, I think he was also a top 3 scorer and passer on the planet. And that just plays into like the actual talent field with James, which gives him a bit more leverage in the AI argument for me. And I don't think there have been many guys in NBA history who can actually say that they were a top 3 scorer and passer on the planet. That's why he was like the best isolation and pick and roll scorer in the game for multiple years. And what James Harden did can't get underestimated just because he didn't captain a finals team. And you're running into a Warriors squad like that in 2018, 2017, even heck 2019. I just don't think there's a lot of like variables out of your like control. And then also Jerry West case, it's kind of similar, like it's at a similar level, and it's really just the offensive capabilities relative for his time. Now, legit, Jerry West is one of the greatest shooters of all time, again, relative to his era. And like when you're talking about a guy who, like, this guy legit averaged 40 points a game for like entire playoff runs, not just like single series, like long-winded playoff runs. And like a lot of like my reasoning why I'd take Jerry West over AI, it just comes down to like offensive polish, and just this plays into both Jerry and James Harden's things, but it's your ability to create stable, high quality offense as the predominant advantage creator. And that is what drives my case for James and Jerry West over Allen Iverson. I just think the job and results that they achieved were more impressive than AI's, both from an individual and from a team standpoint. And so that's why ultimately I had to leave AI off my list for this one. Now, the other problem I had for this one was the debate with Jerry West against Dwayne Wade and James Harden. Now, obviously, like I understand, like a lot of people find it hard differentiating between like best and greatest. And like for me, I'm someone that when I view greatest, I'm looking more predominantly towards like your accomplishments and how you dominated your specific era of NBA basketball. Because there are only so many like factors that you can control for your specific era. And for me, Jerry West was a top 3 to 4 player on the planet easily for about a decade at that time. And I don't think James Harden or Dwayne Wade really dominated at that same longevity level for as long as what Jerry West did in that period of time. And so when we are separating greatness from best talent, I think like, truth is Dwayne Wade as an athlete and as a rim finisher as well, he was something that we hadn't really seen before. And like, Harden as well, just as a team-based isolation creator, someone who could manufacture offense at a historic level for a team in Houston, like that stuff makes these guys exceptional talents. But Jerry West for his time was the most talented two-way guard who put together some of the greatest individual playoff runs that we've ever seen guards have. Like this guy legit led the league in points and assists in both the regular season and the playoffs in multiple different stints. And he made 12 All-NBA teams across a 14-year career. And I think he made 14 All-Stars on top of that. And his efficiency for his time was absolutely instrumental in that individual success and dominance. And so with the achievements and like the individual dominance of Jerry's era compared to what Wade and Harden did in their eras, that is my main argument for why I am taking West over Wade and Harden and what they did in their careers. And so that's just my reasoning behind that. Now, going into the actual reasoning of the actual top 5 that I came up with, I think the rest of the list is like pretty free flowing in terms of like explanation wise. I mean, Jordan and Kobe are your clear 1 and 2 guys on this list. I don't think anyone's debating that. They won and amassed individual accolades and historic production, which just certifies them as true all-time greats. But it's also the two-way impact and stability that they brought on the margins too. What they could bring to an offense as well, and the stability of their shot creation, which made them both individually, Jordan and Kobe, the best player in the world for their own respective stints of time. Obviously, Jordan did it for a little bit longer than Kobe. Kobe had a bit more competition when we're looking from that individual dominance standpoint for his era. And then, so I just think obviously 1 and 2, there's no debating. I think it's also no debate that Jordan is a little bit greater than Kobe Bryant all time. We're not just talking about achievements and how he dominated his era. It's also just like in terms of like efficiency as a half-court shot creator for a team. I think he also had a bit more of an athletic advantage as well, just way more polished as a jump shooter too. There's a lot of different factors that do play into Jordan's argument over Kobe. And then obviously Wade as well. The reason why I have Wade over James Harden, like that argument kind of stems from, again, this greatness outlook on things. And it's like kind of just stems around the eventual like winning titles. Like I know it's hard with James. Like obviously there's a lot of variables again out of his control, but Dwayne Wade did claim 3 titles and he was substantially the more playoff resilient basketball player, just with the athletic and physical flexing that he could impose on defenses at his time, which playoff level basketball, playoff level defenses can't take away from you. And like, when we think about Dwayne Wade, he's literally one of the most unguardable downhill athletes the game has ever seen. And he was pristinely polished at the rim for his time, and especially in those early days as well. And that made him a perennial top 5 NBA talent in the league. And, some of his own like individual playoff runs were just so extraordinary and cannot be overlooked. And like most famously, obviously that 2006 playoff run, 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists with 2 steals. And that came to, I think, 3.3 stocks a game, 50, 38, 81 splits. And then in the finals as well, in the infamous final series against Dallas, which a lot of fans think was rigged. And look, it might have been. But he averaged 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists with nearly 4 stocks a game. And yes, he took over 16 free throws a game. But the dramatic athletic imposition that he could thrust on teams, that was a serious problem that teams couldn't actually solve. And like his portability as well as a star with the arrival of LeBron James in Miami, that just showcased the actual malleability and the external impact that Wade could actually offer in a backseated star role, committing to that winning landscape. And that's why I eventually settled with him at number 4 on this list over James Harden in this current era. Obviously, the parity to win really in just the 21st century is a lot harder, but Dwayne Wade, what he did to me, was absolutely insane in that career, and a little bit more impressive than what James Harden did, especially when you're factoring in the playoff success of things. Now, moving on to my small forwards list. So, to recap that five, at number 5, I had Scottie Pippen. Number 4, we had Julius Erving. Number 3, we had Kevin Durant. Number 2, Larry Bird. And number 1, it's pretty obvious, LeBron James. And the main argument I think I had with this list was really LeBron being at number 1. I think a lot of fans are very vocal when they are, against LeBron and like what he's achieved in his career. And to me, like, it's pretty hard to like comprehend, to be honest, like why people like have such a problem with LeBron James over his entire career. To be honest with you, like, I don't even care if you have a grapple with like what the Miami arrival as well. Like, dude, that was 14 years ago, man. And like, I think LeBron, like the LeBron hate can be very blinding. And I think it's very ignorant and pretty forgetful for what this guy has actually done in this league as both the best talent in NBA history, in my opinion, and by far the best winner of this generation of NBA basketball. And for me, like, there's a reason why LeBron seamlessly slots ahead of everyone, especially on this list as well. And I don't think it's really a question. I mean, like, he was by far the best player in the league for like 10 to 15 years, I'd like to say. And he won more titles than anyone else on this list besides Scottie Pippen. And obviously that gap, like Scottie's direct load in those titles wasn't even comparable whatsoever. So like, that's nothing, all right? And like with the parity of today's NBA, I think like LeBron does get more of a pass. Like, obviously I like to respect what people did in different eras, but there's got to be some sort of an error tax in here, like 10, 15% or so, in my opinion, when we are doing these greatness debates. And so I think he does get a bit more of a pass than some of these guys at the top. And like, dude, if you're looking at like the 70s and 80s decades, like guys like Julius and Larry Bird, which a few people actually said they would rather have over LeBron in the GOAT debates, like the talent was nowhere near as suffocating as it is right now. And like this guy, I mean, 10 finals runs in his entire career, 4 eventual championships where he claimed 4 finals MVPs. And just to read off some of the stats in those losing final series stat lines as well, like I know people have like a problem with the 4-6 finals record, but just to like reiterate just how dominant this guy was in some of those losing series, because it is hard at around 30 teams with how suffocating talent is still growing and becoming as well. But like, it's so hard to be the eventual champion in today's NBA. But let's just read off some of these, all right? And we'll see what you guys think. 2014 finals, 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists on 65% effective field goal percentage. 2015 finals. Don't mind the efficiency. We're not going to go through it, but 36, 13, and 9. 2017 NBA finals. 34, 12, and 10 on 63% effective field goal percentage. And then 2018, arguably LeBron at the peak of his powers, either that or 2013, whichever year you want to take. 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. Losing to the Golden State Warriors in 3 of those 4 like series that I brought up. And like, we're talking about a guy that made 8 straight finals appearances, 8 straight consecutive finals appearances. Like, and this is with totally different franchises as well. Like, this guy was a locked in bet every single year if he was on your team to make the final 2. And that is something that we'll probably never ever see again for that long stint of time. 8 years in a row. And so the winning argument, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me when people make it up with LeBron. Like, oh, he left Miami. Like, I don't care, man. Like, I really don't care. In 2020, at age 35, we're talking about a guy for an entire playoff run, which ended up in a finals MVP for him at 35 years old. He averaged 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists on 56, 37, 72 splits. Like, you can't play around with this guy. This guy is the ultimate winner of this generation, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why the winning argument is just a non-factor for me in this context, unless you're comparing him to the guys like Michael Jordans, the Kareems, the Bill Russells, the Magic Johnsons. But that's when like winning can play like a factor, but not when you're comparing him to the Julius Ervings and the Larry Birds. I'm sorry, like, there's no disrespect to what those guys achieved, but I guarantee you, I mean, I don't know how competitive really Larry Bird is like truly, but I'm sure deep down they understand what this guy has done in his career has been more impressive from an individual and from a team standpoint as well. I mean, the fact that he's got even just more championships in general than both those guys should say enough for you, especially with how stacked some of the teams that Julius and Larry Bird have. You talk about the 83 76ers squad. Basically, like I think they had 5, including Julius Erving, like 5 all-star level guys on that 83 squad. Moses Malone, Mo Cheeks, I think it was Andrew Toney and Bobby Jones. And we don't even need to run through the types of lineups that Larry Bird had going for him. So that's just to settle that argument for me. The other argument that people have, and like the main issue, was Kawhi's absence on this list. And like before I rip into this, like it was very expected. Like I understand it as well. Like obviously as a talent, Kawhi Leonard to me is top 30 all time. And like I think in the greatness debate, he's a top 30 NBA player of all time. Like I'm not grappling with that. But obviously like Scottie Pippen here, he was the odd one out on this list. But like I know a lot of people would prefer Kawhi's career over Scottie, as like he was the man on the 2019 Raptors. That's the main argument here. But let's just get something straight here. I think people do forget just how great Scottie Pippen was for his time. So let's just go into this, because like basically the debate isn't, where's Kawhi? I think it was more why I have Scottie Pippen over Kawhi. At his peak, Scottie, like Kawhi, was a top 5 player in the NBA, top 5 player in the world for a stint of time. And he was a top 5 defender on the planet for a prolonged stretch of time too. And that was very comparable to what Kawhi has achieved from an individual standpoint. And for me, Scottie, when in the all-time context, he's borderline one of the 5 most versatile impacting players the game has ever seen. Passing initiation, physical finishing athleticism, transition dominance at the highest level, elite switchable defensive frame which reeked everywhere on the floor, and just exceptional weak side defense and ball pressure at the point of attack. Adding to that, tremendous rebounder with an impeccably built frame which was packed with strength, length, and lateral movement. And also, he had a jump shot as well that was considered far more than capable at the time. And so, like, in terms of, like, when we're talking about sustainability as a basketball talent, I just think, like, when we're talking about Scottie Pippen, like, he didn't actually have a flaw in his game. And he was a top 3 MVP candidate and a top 5 DPOY candidate at one point in time. That's how good he actually got to, especially when Jordan gave up the reins for that 1 year. So he was that good. He, like, to me, like, honestly, if you're going to compare to, like, today's point of view, like, he might be considered, like, the Jason Tatum of today's era. And to me, that's pretty fucking good, like, to be honest with you. And the thing is, like, in the greatness context, Scottie has 6 rings, 6 titles. Like, that's over half a decade of straight championships, being on top of the NBA world. And that is the same gap, like 6 years is the same gap as between last year's OKC squad and the Raptors back in 2019. Just straight winning year on and year out. And so, like, as far as the context of all-time legacies, for me, just the longevity and the winning cases, they both favor Scottie pretty dramatically here. And the gap as well, as far as an individual talent relative to their era, that wasn't big enough for me to give Kawhi that credit, especially when he's only played 60 games once in the last 6 years. And, like, this is supposed to be, like, a strong bulk of his prime years too. And, like, obviously it's not his fault. I'm not holding this, like, it's not Kawhi's fault at all. But it still plays into your durability and your ability to impact the actual whole association, the entire league, for a prolonged time. And that's why I do favor Scottie Pippen so far from what we've seen from their careers. And this is a greatness argument. This isn't the best argument. I think Kawhi, relative to their eras even, was a more talented player than Scottie Pippen at their absolute peak primes. I'm talking 2019, like, I mean, LeBron was probably the best player in the world. Kawhi would have been second or third, depending on how much you value Steph Curry's offensive impact. Like, I know some people have a grapple with that too. Some people actually thought KD better player than Steph Curry when they teamed up. And that's a fair assumption to make. He won both finals MVPs. But Kawhi Leonard in 2019 at one point was at least a top 3 player on the planet. You'd find it hard saying Scottie Pippen was ever top 3 in the NBA. Even in that year Jordan left. Like, he wasn't. But that gap wasn't big enough for me to overcome the actual championship success that Scottie saw his entire career. And I'm sorry, but I don't care how you won them. Kawhi won his finals MVP in his first championship as relatively just a high-level role player. That's what he was going into that playoff run. Scottie Pippen's got 6 championships. Kawhi's got 2. So that's the big thing for me. Anyways, we're going to skip past that argument. That is my reasoning, though, for Scottie over Kawhi. And then also, I saw a Kevin Durant is greater than Larry Bird argument as well. I saw that pop up. I think 2 people might have mentioned that, actually. And to me, I just want to quickly hit that off as well. I don't really see why. I mean, even when we are reviewing talent and skill does have to be set aside. Like when we're talking about raw skill because of era context. I'm going to keep bringing up probably this entire, I'm going to do a big man version of this as well, but era context is very important for this. But Larry Bird is arguably the most portable player of all time. And we've never seen someone this portable. And it comes from a play style point of view. It's not just the skill set and what he could do on the floor. It's how he could actually mold into different types of play styles for a team. He didn't need the ball in his hands as directly as what a prime LeBron James did need to carry a team. And that's why Larry Bird may be the ultimate floor and ceiling raiser for a basketball team. I mean, maybe Michael Jordan's up there too for that. I don't know. Whatever you want. But also, we're talking about, so first of all, that point that I just made, that stems from the versatility of your skill set and the versatility of your instincts on both ends of the floor. We're talking about a guy with the top tier, most exceptional hand-eye coordination as a passer, shooter, and post scorer. And someone with just absolutely exceptional feel, just far beyond his time too. I mean, the off-ball value and the exceptional scoring diversity for his time is what made Larry Bird just a straight freak talent built upon skill and cognitive strengths for his time. That's why. And let's go into it. Let's talk about accolades and achievements, because that actually doesn't differentiate KD and Larry that much. Obviously, longevity argument leans towards KD as well. We don't need to get into that. In terms of accolades and achievements, Larry won 3 MVPs in his career to KD's 1, and they came all in a row. So just a top tier dominant peak individual stretch. And in that 3-year stretch as well, let's talk about it. He averaged 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists with nearly 3 stocks a game on 50, 39, 89 splits in the mid-80s. He claimed 3 titles and reached 5 finals, and he won 2 finals MVPs in that career too. And in that run, there's in that individual run, and there's a clear gap there between him and KD in that department as well, in terms of the actual winning success. Obviously, I said it's fairly close, but Larry won more in his career, and he did it in probably more impressive fashion too than what KD did. I know obviously people are going to have a problem with how KD won his championships. That does play into this argument for me as well here. Obviously, Larry had an insane team grown around him from the get-go. The best basketball organization at the time as well, but does play into, I think Larry's championships was just a bit more impressive in that fact. But also, Larry as well, for the time, he was the best player in the world for a pretty jagged period of time, considering that he did share that title with Magic Johnson throughout the 80s, depending on what season as well that you decide to look at. But he was the best player in the world for multiple different years. If you look at KD's career, to me, I don't think he's ever had that individual hold over the league. And that does leave a lasting footprint on KD's legacy in the NBA. I think he was a top 3 player on the planet for, I don't know, maybe from 2012 to 2019, 2020, maybe. But I don't even know if he ever cracked that second best player when Steph arrived on the scene. And Steph, I think, actually competed with LeBron when we're talking about actual value to a team. Finals MVPs set aside. I don't care about that. Steph's actual value is something that we've never ever seen before. And he gave LeBron the best debate as the best player in the world, in my opinion, when we are talking about the most valuable and impactful players at the time. And so that's where I do take Larry Bird over Kevin Durant in this argument. And that's where the reasoning does stem from. So that's why LeBron, clear number 1 to me. Larry Bird, as from a talent and for how he dominated his league and from a winning standpoint, there's a pretty clear gap between him and KD. And I have KD at number 3 because he may be the second, or he might be a top 3 most portable talent the game has ever seen. Transcendent talent with the skill that he brought at his size. And he did climb the mountain twice and prove just how dominant he can be when he gets onto that stage. And he did that with multiple different franchises. And like when I'm not saying he won with multiple franchises, I'm saying he got to the top stage of the NBA world and proved just how great he actually can be on that stage with multiple franchises. And his longevity as well gives him a leg up, especially over guys like Julius Erving too. And obviously Air Attacks comes into it there as well. And then Scottie Pippen as well, one of the greatest winners of all time, didn't have anywhere near the direct load, which to be honest with me does count a lot in these debates. But obviously for the small forward list, my honorable mention was obviously Kawhi Leonard. But at the moment, at this point in time, while Kawhi's still got time to add to that resume, I don't know how much time he's got left in this peak period of time. But Kawhi does rank at the honorable mention section of that small forward list. Now, I thank you guys for listening. That's all I've got for today's episode. I hope you guys did enjoy that. And then again, I'm going to come out with a top 5 power forwards and a top 5 centers list as well. I think my power forwards list came out just recently as well. And then obviously I'm in the midst of making my center list. It's extremely hard, man. It's extremely hard. Like if you guys didn't catch my power forwards list, which I released just as today as I'm recording now, Tim Duncan number 1, but he played majority of his minutes at center throughout his career. I'm just putting him in the power forwards list because in his prime years, he was listed as a power forward. But I couldn't put him on the centers list because otherwise I'll be leaving off some names that I really wish I wouldn't have to. So that list will be coming out soon, and then I'll create that podcast probably next week to come out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys still have any arguments compared to what I've had to say and my reasoning for my top 5 guys in each position list of all time. Year by year, these will probably change. Like, who knows? Kawhi could win finals MVP this year. I don't know. He won't actually unless he gets traded or something like that. But that is how I see it at this point in time. Legacies do shift all the time, so we'll be probably reviewing this maybe like once a year, just for a bit of fun. But at the moment, this is how I saw it. And I thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll be back probably next week with another ranking of the big man list of this version.